First, let's pay homage to the lineage gurus, homage to the Venerable Monk Liao Ming, homage to Master Sakya Zengkong, homage to His Holiness the 16th Karmapa, and homage to Master Tupten Dorji. Homage to the three jewels of the altar. Homage to the main deity of the ceremony today, Amitabha Tathagata of the Western Paradise, and homage to Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva, Mahastama Prapta Bodhisattva, and homage to the assembly of Amitabha Buddha of the Western Paradise and all the Bodhisattvas. Sumo, Danzhen Gato, Tuten City, all Dharma masters, Dharma educators, Dharma teachers, Dharma lecturers, Dharma assistants, directors of temples and chapters, and all disciples and viewers over the internet. Good evening, everyone. Aistero, Tarane.
Hola, amigo.
Hola, amigo.
Te quiero mucho.
Te quiero mucho.
Sugoin.
Sugoin.
Ichiban. Kimochi.
Kimochi.
Yumi.
Yumi.
Yapi.
Yapi.
Bling bling.
Bling bling.
Konbanwa.
Konbanwa.
大家晚安.
Good evening, everyone. Before the Dharma teaching, I would like to start with a joke. A man dated a new girl to go up the mountain to look at the night, the city view, very beautiful, and there's a cool breeze, and the man asks the lady, "Are you cold?" And the girl thought, "He's so kind and thoughtful." So she replied, "No, I'm not cold, thank you." And then the man said, "Then can you take off your coat to let me wear it, because I'm very cold." So in this world, there are many things that were unthinkable to you. Unthinkable things happened, like the coronavirus. This whole world, the whole society have changed because of it. That the pandemic this time is something that I first experienced in my 70 years of life. during my Dharma propagation work. It's the first time I encounter that when we perform this grand ceremony on September 12th, you call this a grand ceremony like this? It never happened before. All my life, this kind of ceremony never happened before. It was unthinkable before, right? Lots of things were unthinkable. I thought the air pollution in Taichung, the PM 2.5, was horrible in Taichung. That's why I did not go back to Taichung. But little did we know that in Seattle, this few days, it was worse than Taichung. The air pollution score went from 400 to 600. It's not just red, it's purple. It's so red that it became purple. So it's worse than red, purple. This were all hard to imagine before. I heard there's the hurricane in the Caribbean Sea, and there were 10 in a row. That's the same like typhoon. Usually we always name the hurricane or the typhoon, but now we don't have enough names for them. So they have to add new names. So this year, the year of 2020, the flood in mainland China, we have flood in China. It's quite disastrous. And in United States we have forest fire. It's also very severe. I thought I like Seattle air
because it's so clean. Tree, lake, mountain, so beautiful. Seattle is nice. Taiwan is dirty. But now, Seattle is dirty. Taiwan is beautiful.
So think about it.
根本都反常了。
This is abnormal.
California, Oregon,
California.
states, 3 states is American West. American West. 3 states 遍地红火，都是火，
So
森林大火。
there's forest fire in these western states, California, Oregon, and Washington.
这世界说变就变。
So the world changes suddenly.
特别从 Virginia
And someone,
一个师姐
a Dharma sister,
维吉尼亚
came from Virginia.
维吉尼亚的师姐要我去那边避难。
She wanted me to go there to escape the
她说
calamities,
旅馆会都由她出，
and she will pay for all my hotel fees.
要我赶快去那边。
I received a letter
西
today.
雅图
She wanted me to go there
已经变成
because Seattle now is
去那里避难。
a place of disaster,
无常，
to take a refuge there.
所以佛陀
So that's
释迦牟尼
impermanence.
佛
So the Buddha Sakyamuni spoke on the impermanence, that everything is impermanent. That is the ultimate
在这
truth.
世界上没有什么叫常
In this world, there's nothing permanent. Nothing is everlasting.
你除了修行成佛以外，
Other than attaining Buddhahood through your spiritual cultivation,
你到了常寂光土，
and you arrive at the
到了十道
Buddha
方
land of everlasting tranquility light, or the
到了
land
环性
of
土地土
the joy, and the land of one more, and also the land of where the
才是真
the
正永恒
enlightened
的境界。
and the mundanes are living together.
所以我们
Those are the 4 Buddha lands of the Western paradise, and the Western paradise is the only permanent place.
才能够
That's why we have to be diligent and work hard in order
上没有
to
所谓
get to the true everlasting, because there's nothing else is everlasting in this world.
in this area, no forever, never, never, forever is never. 只有到佛国净土，才是真正的 forever。
In this world, nothing is forever. Only if you go to the Buddha lands, only the Buddha lands are forever. That's the
我眼睛所看到的
insight that I got
寥
today.
寥无几，
So what I see here is very
很多
sparse.
国家的人都没有办法到来参加这个大法会。
People from abroad cannot come to attend the ceremony.
隔壁的
Or even from the next door country,
加拿
Canada.
大有人来吗？
Anyone from Canada here?
请问有看到加拿大的同门来吗？没有。
None.
隔壁邻居的加拿大，
Even from
开
our
车只
neighbor
要3个
Canada,
小时，
that they
连一
can
个人来都没有。
come here by driving 3 hours. Nobody came.
啊？是呀，要隔离呀。
The border is closed. Why do we care about that? Whether the border, some people cried to come and came. Angel flew, and the immigration stopped her, so she knelt and cried, and eventually let her in. The immigration let her in. She cried and kneeled, and she was let in. Of course, Angel is watching the webcast, and many disciples all over the world are watching on Zoom. So what else will happen? What else will happen in this human world? What kind of impermanence will happen? Like in 2019, my own prediction in 2019 about this year was that there would be pandemic and the super virus, famine would be here, and I don't want to say it. So look at the world now. I hope the Buddha and Bodhisattvas are compassionate. I hope that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are compassionate and can quickly eradicate the calamities and disasters in this world. So today we performed Bardo Deliverance, and this is a very special one requiring Bardo Deliverance, called Yang Qingzhou. And his son is Yang Zhonghan, Mr. Yang. Why did you put this here? Anybody? Anybody knows? The disease is Wang Jingzhou, and it said it's the primary supplicant for the ceremony. It's been Bardo delivered. So this is especially placed here. So the Bardo deliverance this time, there are three kinds of guidance. That's why my mudra was all disorderly, chaotic. They were not the typical mudras that I usually form. They are the guidance by light, the rays of light, so that those spirits that are in darkness follow the light. That's Bardo deliverance by the light. Amitabha Buddha radiates light, and all the spirits in darkness, seeing the light, they follow the light and continue to rise. So that's one way, Amitabha Buddha radiating light to guide them. That's for those in deep in hells. So Amitabha Buddha's radiating light to the depth of hells, and they followed the light to rise to the Buddha land. And the other Bardo deliverance is by the Dharma ships. When Grandmasters open his hand, there would be a Dharma ships from 1 to become 10, from 10 to become hundreds, and from hundreds to become thousands. And Amitabha Buddha uses the 10 powers of the Tathagata to attract them to get on board the Dharma ships. And Golden Mother also used her formidable power to attract them to board the Dharma ships until they're full and they sail to the other shore of the Western Paradise. That's the Bardo deliverance by the Dharma ships. And one more is Bardo deliverance by the lotus. The Pure Land Trinity appears and they emit the lotus from their hands. And all the lotus blossoms in the sky, thousands and millions of them. And all the Bardo spirits that have affinity to get onto the lotus blossoms, the upper levels, middle levels, and lower levels, they all get onto the lotuses. So thousands and millions of the spirits ride on the lotus blossoms and be reborn into the Pure Lands. So that's by the deliverance by lotus. So this evening we have 3 kinds of Bardo deliverance. One is guidance by the rays of light, by the Dharma ships, and by the lotus. And the lotus is the highest quality, the highest level, and the Dharma ships is the middle level, and the rays of light is the lowest level. As long as you get to the Buddha lands, you will be destined to attain Buddhahood eventually. As long as you get to the Pure Lands of Amitabha Buddha, whether you're at the highest level of the Buddha land of eternal tranquility of light, or the middling level of the land, the 2 lands in the middle, or the lowest level of the land of enlightened and mundane beings together. As long as you get to the Western Paradise, the Buddha lands of the Western Atmos bliss, then you will not return. And if you continue to cultivate spiritually there, you're destined to realize the Buddha nature and ultimately rise to the topmost Buddha land of the eternally tranquil light. And only that would be truly everlasting. The Mrs. A asked Mrs. B, so if your husband has an affair, what would you do? And Mrs. B replies, oh, I'll close one eye and open one eye. And Mrs. A said, wow, you're so open-minded. And Mrs. B said, no, I am actually I'm what's it called? Targeting my gun. Let me tell you what the Buddha taught us. In order for you to have attainments in your spiritual cultivation, you should not be jealous nor envious. You should never be envious nor jealous. In order to go to the heavenly realms, your mind and your heart should be like the heavens. In order for you to be able to go there, if you want to go to the heavenly realms, whether it's the realm of no form, the realm of form, or the realm of desire, that your mind or your heart should be as expansive, as vast as the sky or the heavens. Just the path to the heavens requires such cultivation. So let me tell you, if you're small-minded, you would not be able to go to the heavens, moreover, to the Buddha lands or the Western paradise. So today, everybody wants to rise to the Pure Land or the Buddha lands. But when you discover that your enemy is also there, wouldn't you greet them? That you find you have formed enemies in the human world. You already have hatred in your heart. How can you rise to heavens? It's a very simple concept, right? A simple principle, especially for spiritual cultivators. What spiritual cultivation is that if you cannot embrace a single being, how can you rise to the Pure Land? So when you get to the Pure Land, you have to ignore him or her. Should you be beaten by Amitabha Buddha? Therefore, your mind or your heart is extremely important. Let me tell you one thing. In Tibet, there were 4 very famous poets. The first one was Milarepa. The songs and the poems that he wrote were very famous. He's a Siddha, a Mahasiddha, someone with great attainments. And at the end, did he forgive his relatives who took his wealth and everything, he did forgive all the people who took everything away from him. Some people wrote it was uncles and aunts from his father's side. He forgave them. He forgave everybody. That's how great the songs and the poems of Milarepa. That the mind or the heart is everything. And the mind heart should merge or assimilate with the greatest heart mind of the universe. That's what Milarepa's songs and poems are about. He was the greatest poet in Tibet. And the next one is Sakya Pandita from the Sakya school. Sakya Pandita was also a Mahasiddha. There is the so-called Sakya objective called the Sakya Kuyen, like the mission of spiritual cultivation. The poems of Sakya Pandita were called Sakya Kuyen. They taught you how to train your mind and heart. Have you ever read this Sakya Kuyen? We all have read Milarepa's biography. It includes lots of his songs and poems that were about his spiritual cultivation, from impermanence, sufferings, and realizing emptiness, and then letting go of everything, renunciation, and then to use his mind heart to seal the mind heart of the universe and to merge with the heart mind of the Tathagatas. And Sakya Pandita wrote poems about the training of the body and mind. It was also talking about spiritual cultivation. And the third poet was Tsongkhapa, Guru Tsongkhapa. And the poems of Tsongkhapa was praises to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas. And why did he want to praise the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? He praised Avalokitesvara Bodhisattva. He praised Saraswati. He praised Amitayus. There were many beautiful praises to the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas written by Guru Tsongkhapa. And he wrote many poems and very long verses. They were all about praises. Why did he want to praise the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas? Because the heart mind of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are vast and expansive. That's the empty nature. It's the most marvelous. There's no jealousy, no envy, no hatred in it. None of those exists. So the third great poet was Guru Tsongkhapa. Milarepa, Sakya Pandita, Guru Tsongkhapa. And the last one, Changyang Kato, which is the sixth Dalai Lama. The poems that the sixth Dalai Lama wrote were beautiful, were extremely marvelous, and you can understand it. But he had conflict between his body and mind. He desired for love and at the same time also long for the Pure Land. So that's the fourth poet of Tibet, Changyang Katso. So he desired love and at the same time long for Buddhahood. And the two of them were in conflict. And he's visualizing his guru, and the guru did not appear. Instead, his lover appeared. He secretly went for dates. But were also afraid that he would not have any attainments. When he was dating, he regretted that he would failed from spiritual attainments. So he had written lots of poems about his romantic love, and he also have written many poems about Buddhahood. And lastly, he had a tragedy at the end of his life. Therefore, we have to recognize what everlasting is. What is your aspiration? What is your goal? Can you also cultivate spiritually amidst your romantic love? In Tantric Buddhism, such a practice exists. That amidst the romantic love, you can also visualize, chant mantra, chant the Buddha's name, chant the sutra, and can also have the attainments of your own Dharma kaya, your Dharma body. Are you able to do that? So that's the great temptation for spiritual cultivators. One is spiritually, the other one is physically. Physically, you can also cultivate spiritually to become spiritual. If you're unable to do so, then you're violating the precepts and you would fall into the Vajra hell. But if you are able to do it, you would transcend from the physical body to become Buddhas or Bodhisattvas. Are you able to transcend? That's the question. That's the test, the temptation. In the Saha world, there are 4 kinds of disciples: Bhiksu, Bhikshuni, Upasaka, Upasaki. So the ordained monks and nuns and the lay practitioners, male and female, they have to encounter this test. They have to face and pass this test. That in your love you can also visualize, chant, form the mudra, your bodily mudra. You can also see the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas radiating light to bless you. Are you able to do so? If you're not able and you perform the dual body practice, then you would fall into the Vajra hell. But if you are able to do it, then you can transcend and your body can radiate rainbow light, and your 5 chakras open, all emitting light. The brow chakra, the throat chakra, the heart chakra radiating light, the navel chakra, the secret chakra, all radiating light. And finally, the 7 chakras, including the crown chakra and the base chakra, all 7 chakras radiating light, radiating rainbow lights, and to become rainbow. And you have the rainbow light attainment. You have the body transformation to become rainbow light. If you are able to do so, then you have attainments. But if you're not able, then you would fall into the virtual hell. If your heart or mind is vast, then you can go to heavens. But if your mind is small and narrow, and you fight with each other, then you would become Asura. And if you have transgressions, you would fall into the 3 lower realms. That's how it is. So today, I am teaching you this very crucial points. Do you know why? The gates to the ghosts opens on the 1st of the 7th month, but we do the universal deliverance on the 15th of the month, because they have to be quarantined for 14 days. So the ancestors were very wise. They already started it before we even had the pandemic. They understood it. The village is small, but the thieves are many. Almost each household had been stolen, except the house of the old Wang. And he was unhappy, so he placed a note. The door is not locked, so you can steal all you want. And the next morning, there was another note at the door. Please don't pretend. The only thing that's worthy in your house is the old blanket that you wear, that you put on top of your body. One more joke. Every girlfriend that I brought home, my mom did not like. And his friend said, "That's easy. Why don't you find a girl that looks and acts like your mom? Then that should pass." And then he said, "I tried already, but the thing is, it's my dad who doesn't like her." It's the same reason. People under heaven are not the same. Every individual has a face with 2 eyes, 2 ears, a nose with 2 nostrils, and a mouth. But is there anybody that's exactly the same as another? None. What is the same? The Buddha natures are the same. So for the sake of Buddha nature,
2个字
there's 2 words in
你
Chinese.
必须要爱众生。
You need to love sentient beings.
任何一个众生，
Any sentient being.
你必须要爱众生。
You have to love sentient beings.
每一个，
Every
包括
one
你的
of
敌
them.
人，
Including your enemies.
耶稣都这样子讲了。
Jesus said
耶
that.
稣也是讲，要爱
Jesus also said, love your enemies.
那佛陀叫我们要
The Buddha taught us equanimity,
舍无量，慈悲喜舍的舍，
boundless magnanimous, and forsakes. Do you know how to be magnanimous?
所以佛在行菩萨道
To
的时
let
候，
go.
有舍身为辅，有割肉为因。
So therefore, when the Buddha was walking on the
你
Bodhisattva
都可以
path,
舍身为辅，
he forsake his body to feed the tiger, to cut his flesh, to feed the eagle, to become a bodhisattva. So why can't you tolerate your fellow disciples?
有错的规劝他忏悔，
So if someone made the mistake, that you should
一切都可以重新开始。
encourage them to repent. They can start all over
我们
again.
不能舍弃他。
We cannot abandon them.
虽然呢，那个师尊哦，这个一般来讲，
Although
师尊是
Grandmaster,
比较宽
generally
大，比较
speaking,
宽大一点，
is rather open and wide open,
严厉还是很严厉，还是要严厉的。
but we still have to be strict about precepts.
要遵守，
We want everybody to
还是要忏悔。
abide by the precepts. If you violate the precepts, you still have to
你有
repent.
没有犯了戒？
Think about it
犯了
yourself.
戒的，
Have you breached the precepts? If you have to repent.
只要忏悔了，都可以包容。
Once you have repented, then you can be embraced.
一犯再犯，
Except if you continue violating it non-stop.
才会逐出师门。
Then you would be kicked out from the
或者是
monastery.
欺师灭祖的，
Or those who
或者犯了忤逆罪的，
who trick the teacher and the gurus,
所以
or
今天呢，
those who created the 5 heinous crimes.
法来说法，只是我今天心中想到的，
I didn't follow
告
the.
诉大家，
I just teach you what's in my heart.
就这样告诉大家。
So would like to share what's in my mind.
那么现在已经是10点半，因为时间比较那个，
It's 10:30 already.
我们希望这个佛菩萨慈悲，
So we pray, we hope that the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas are compassionate toward us,
跟佛菩萨的心
that our mind,
一样，
our heart can be exactly the same as
心
the heart mind of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas,
佛菩萨的心，
that you use your heart mind to seal with the heart mind of the Buddhas and Bodhisattvas, then you are a Buddha or Bodhisattva. That's how Milarepa wrote his songs. Mani Pe Mi Hum.